Well, after looking back, any weekend you win games is a good weekend, and you beat Michigan, it's a better weekend. But those 2 wins last week are kind of gone, and the beauty of this conference right now is there isn't a lot of relaxing. I'm a little confused. I'd say we're 2 or 3, 4 games away from really figuring out where the conference is. The 2 games early create a problem. Wisconsin, Minnesota were playing so bad early, and now Wisconsin might be playing as well as anybody, and Minnesota is playing much, much better than they were. You look at where we are, and this is a big week. And I'm going to say that every week, it seems like, but what a Thursday, Sunday, it's another closer, especially Thursday at midnight or whenever, and then on Sunday it's an early afternoon game. So quicker turnarounds, which I say create some problems for our youth right now, but maybe the last week helped a little bit. But Minnesota is 2-2. They could be 3-1. They had Purdue beat at Purdue. They beat Ohio State soundly. You're Tour kid, second leading scorer in the league. We recruited him a little bit. I knew his high school coach. Another bad decision by my staff and me, I guess, because he has been a beast. He's 19 points, 12 rebounds, and he's playing very, very well. But they have 4 players in double figures. The kid Carr, who transferred there a year ago, has been probably the surprise of the league. He's averaging 16 points, still 7 assists, but he's been kind of an electrifying point guard. He can shoot a 3. He's one of the rare guys like a Mateen Cleaves. He's stronger. He actually seeks and enjoys contact, and he'll get to the rack a lot. He's shooting a ton of free throws. He was 10 for 10 in one game. He's had games in the 30s. He's had games in the 20s. With Kelser, another kid that we really liked. They've got a great shooter, and the kid Willis, who came from the same school as Maudie, has been very good shooters. So they've got a little bit of everything. They've got a 5th-year transfer who is playing the power forward. And I think they got 5 starters as good as most teams in the league. And 2 guys, Ventura and their point guard Carr, that are really, really good. So it's going to be it's going to be good for us, but don't look at Minnesota, or people shouldn't, like maybe Minnesota was a couple of years, or even what they were at the beginning of the year. They're a completely different team now. The kid Willis, who is now probably going to start, he was starting, then got hurt, and didn't play in, I think, 3 of the last 5 games, or 2 of the last 5. He played again the other night. Yeah, 3 of the last 5. But he played the other night, and I'm sure he'll either be starting or play a lot against us. Questions? Geez, I like these little, what are they called? Selfie sticks? What the hell's that?
I feel like I'm in class.
Feel like you're in class? There's no way in hell you'd be sitting in the second row, and we don't have 55 rows where you would have sat.
This guy
Yeah.
I wanted last week we were talking about meeting guys football and that leadership sense and all that. And then the part of that game that I kind of took from was when, I forget if it was the first half, second half anyway, Gabe doesn't cut out for, and Xavier gets a block, but immediately he's kind of on his, getting after it.
You know what you are? You're a jerk. I'll tell you why you're a jerk.
I agree.
Because, when I got after Aaron last year, I got crucified from Italy to China. And believe it or not, I've had more people call me about what Xavier did, applauding, canonizing him. I think there's room for a statue next to Irvin because of what Xavier said to Gabe. And meanwhile, when I said it, and not in as demonstrative of a way, I might have pointed at him, but when I went back and watched that, because I didn't see it during the game. If I would have saw it during the game, I'd have called the timeout and kissed the guy, personally, if I would have saw it during the game. But I didn't see it during the game. But the number of other coaches and people that have called me has been crazy. It's been crazy. So you're still a jerk, but I didn't mean it like I said it, because you got to watch what I say now. Everybody takes things wrong. But that is needed. That is needed 25 times more than it's being done. And I had a coach in that was visiting, that used to coach at Oregon. I had a couple other coaches around, and everybody talked about the same problems. When I called different coaches, communication. And, you know, it's funny you brought it up, because I just got out of a meeting on what we're going to work on today. And I said, who's got an off-the-wall solution to how we can do a drill just to communicate? You know, and we have come up with a couple of things we're going to try to do today. And it's the same problem with everybody. But the other thing that I love that he did, communicating means calling out screens, this and that. That was more holding a guy accountable. And it was beautiful. I mean, it was, you know, and it was really good about it. Gabe took it like Aaron took it. What's really bad about it, you guys canonized Xavier and you crucified me. But as long as we got the point across and it got done, I'm cool with it. But that was a very good observation, because it was in a film session yesterday. We just had a little academic meeting, and I said, I got to show you one thing on film. The NCAA is listening, because you know you got to have an off day, you can't. But we did show that. It was something, and then they showed a different angle. Oh my God, I think I would have been in prison. You know, Marquette prison would have probably come down and got me if I did that. But it was awesome. It was really, and what I really liked about it is, then he came to the bench and DJ got him, but he was sitting, so you know, you don't get in trouble for that. But Gabe took the whole thing, and when we all laughed here, and I said, that is what's needed, and you young guys better understand that. But it's my other point, you know, player, coach, team, because players can talk to players, and nobody else thinks anything of it. If coaches talk to players, it's like, you know. So I got to get in my commercial on that. Very good. Appreciate it. Appreciated all the guys that, not you guys, but the national guys that were a little upset with me last year. I hope they don't feel the same way about Xavier, because I absolutely thought it was one of the highlights of the game, if you want the truth. And so did my staff, my team, and many coaches around the country.
Going off Gabe, I guess, how much do you think this last month where he's been in the lineup has sort of accelerated his track and growth process versus if he hadn't had that opportunity? And long term, do you still think he's a better fit for this team off the bench when Rocket is all the way back, or is that still to be determined?
Yeah, it's still to be determined. You know, his minutes haven't changed a lot, but maybe his focus has some. I think Gabe has been, you know, he's coming. He's coming a lot. You know, everybody tries to compare just because they're both left-handed, Morris and Gabe, from way back. And what do you think of this guy compared to that guy? And at the same age, you know, they're. I mean, Gabe is really making some strides here. You know, it took Morris longer, but at the same time, times are different too. So Gabe is trending in the right direction. I just got to keep him focused and trending that way. But whether he comes off the bench or not, you know, Rocket's still a ways away. I mean, he just, as I said, starts practicing where I think we'll be able to practice him every day now, I hope. And, you know, the neat thing is, Rocket knows he didn't come here thinking he was going to start. You know, that was going to be Josh. And so, no controversy over it. What's best for the team, and in some ways, what's best for the players. You know, so that's what I'm going to look at.
One quick follow-up. You mentioned film. Did you guys highlight there's a clip going around on Twitter of Gabe in the second half. He's like almost talking to himself, firing himself up, guarding Wagner. And I don't think he's talking to anybody. It's just sort of him. Or if you saw that or talked to him about that, what that was kind of all about.
I can believe he was talking to nobody. I can believe that. Okay. But I also, you know, I must have, you know me well enough. So that night I stayed up. I must have watched 2-3 hours of Twitter. That must have been the next thing up that I missed because I just missed it. But I didn't see it. But Gabe has a tendency to do that, and that's why I love Gabe. You know, Gabe is my energy bunny. You know, sometimes he takes it a little too far, and we did. I brought him in over Christmas. I told you I put 4 things up for each guy, and that was one of his. You know, silly, goofy. We gotta harness that. You know, and I think he's making some great progress. But like today, you know, we had an early morning meeting and a little walkthrough and a little film session because yesterday was off, and you know, Gabe was in here at 6:15 shooting, and I mean, Gabe is as driven of a guy as I've had here in a while. You know, I mean, he's challenging the Valentines of the world, and that's a good thing for us.
I think it's 15 minutes left, second half, if you want to go.
Yeah, you know, I'll probably I'm gonna have to borrow somebody's thing because there's no Twitter account on my phone, but there's none on yours either. I don't know what the hell you're doing in it's not hockey here, so there's none on theirs either. But I'll look that up.
On Rocket, what's kind of the balance between him learning, embracing, and making the best of a 6-man role and kind of being a weapon there versus him wanting to work his way back into a starting role?
You know, I hope he wants to work his way back into his starting role, to be honest with you. I mean, I you know, and I hope Gabe wants to keep working his way up. But there's a very good relationship there. Gabe, Rocket, Cassius has done a very good job with Rock. And, but Rocket is maybe a different guy than the one we thought we'd get to. I mean, I've really enjoyed coaching him. It's been he's competitive. You know, he cares about his defense. He's just learning how to find his offense, and that is going to take a little time. It's going to take some practice time, but just hitting a few shots, getting out there, making a few drives, you know, realizing he doesn't have to live and die with a 3. You know, I don't know what it's going to take, but he got up to, 17, 18 minutes in the last game. We get up in the 20s, and then we'll make some decisions that we have to make. But it won't be anything that, because Rocket needs this. I mean, it'll be what they deserve, but it'll also be what's best, you know. Is Gabe, with his long-range shooting, a more instant offense guy coming off? Do we need Rocket's defense out there a little bit more, especially against some teams, and his speed, competitiveness, you know. I don't know. It won't happen this week in any way, shape, or form because I don't know, you know, I know he'll practice today. I don't know what that brings for tomorrow. And that has to get more consistent. And that's not at all to do with him. It's more to do with my trainers and my doctors.
Where do you figure out right now with your rotation? I mean, you obviously had some foul trouble early in that game, had to move some guys in and out, but do you feel like you're getting a little more comfortable maybe with
I'm comfortable with Cassius. I'm comfortable with Xavier. And then I am pretty comfortable with Aaron. And then I'm not real comfortable, you know. I know I'm comfortable that I got Gabe and Rocket there. And the Kyle Arns thing is really day-to-day. It just is day-to-day. I mean, I'm going to have to adjust to that. I'm probably going to have to sit him out back-to-back practices and stuff. That's probably going to be the rest of the year. So I don't know. I guess I'm getting comfortable that I know I'm probably going to have him for this many minutes a game. But that 4 spot is probably the big question mark. And, you know, just when I think one guy's stepping up, another guy, you know, he falters and the other guy steps up. I thought we got more out of Julius. You know, what I've been telling you guys, I think. But it's hard to play 4 and rotate them, and yet none of those guys are expecting to play 20, 25 minutes. So in some ways you can as you practice them more together, and that's what we're trying to do. So I don't think you can play 10, 11 guys, but I think there's going to be certain teams, certain guys going to be able to play against, certain teams not. The 7-man group of right now, which would be the starters, Rocket, and you know, one of the subs at the 4 is going to be pretty solid. Kyle is be as solid for his minutes as he can play. But it's still been a strange year in that respect.
Coach, Stephen's played in a number of games now. Is there
kind of a sense of excitement you get when you get to call his number?
No. No, there is. I mean, hey, it's a blessing. It's one thing that I wouldn't change now for the world. I mean, I questioned even doing it. I questioned the whole deal. And, last night I spent some time with Mark D'Antonio, and we were talking about things. When Ernie was here this weekend, his son played for him, and, one of them was a good player and one of them was just a walk-on. And when you get the thought of, I forgot which former player said, Stephen got in against Michigan. Well, 27 seconds or whatever it was, but, athletes are like fishermen, the sunfish you caught that was about 6 inches turns into Moby Dick by the time you get 80. The 27 seconds and the hold the ball the last 10 seconds probably will turn into dunking like Michael Jordan in 30-point game by the time he's 80. And that's what memories are all about, man. And I get to experience that. I get to be in a locker room with everybody jumping around, and my son's there. I question. I talked to some of you guys about it during the stretch early on, and I questioned myself: what's he going to go through? What am I going to go through? We know the deal. We know where he is on the pecking order, and we know that the cool part for me is the players and the fans have embraced it. Hasn't changed where he is. He will not be on scholarship. Now, in fact, I'm trying to get him off the Izzo scholarship, so I'm going to try to get him a job this summer so that he's off the Izzo scholarship, but he will not be on the Michigan State one. And but I do take great thrill in seeing your kid get to do something that few people get to do. Great thrill.
Coach, speaking of the rotation and foul trouble, Aaron Henry, could you just assess his play lately where he had a productive second half, but he was hampered by those two early fouls?
Yeah, I think the other guy that I didn't mention was Foster. He's been playing better and better. And I said at my radio show last night, he's like Michael Jordan. I'm like Dean Smith. I'm the only guy that can hold him down, because I'm not getting him enough minutes. And I'm going to have to do a better job of that. But at the same time, Aaron Henry, I'm going to have to start figuring out. I'm going to have to play guys with 3 fouls in that first half, or 2 fouls. It's hurting him a little bit, but what do? It's a tough deal. Every time I hear somebody say you should play him, then I watch TV and somebody gets played in their 3rd foul, and then they're in trouble. So there's no right answer. The right answer is Aaron's got to quit getting stupid fouls. We knew him guarding Simpson, there was a chance he was going to get some foul trouble. The 2 fouls he got, he wasn't within 10 feet of Simpson. He was doing other things that he put himself in a position. I thought one was shaky, but the other one, it was just, you can't do those things. We need him in the game. And I told him yesterday, I told him at Christmas, I thought he made some strides in the Illinois game and even Eastern Michigan. He's got to be that 3rd guy that we know every day is going to get us so many points, so many rebounds. And what's added to his table is, he is my best defensive player. Xavier is really good, but my best defensive player is Aaron Henry, and he deserves to get some credit for that, because I think before it's done, he's going to have a chance to be a really good defender, but still needs to be a good rebounder, which he improved on a lot in the last month. And he improved his shooting. We didn't get him any shots, or he didn't get any shots, and it's hard to shoot it when you're on the bench. So that's my next area that I think we have to fix.
Tom, Cash is probably like week and a half here. He's going to break the team's career assistance record here. Wondering how meaningful that'll be as far as the things that he's accomplished here. Could you imagine having a team left with somebody, in your tenure to break that record?
No, they always say records are made to be broken, and yet you think some records that especially this day and age, how many times do you keep a great player 4 years in that? Are certain records ever going to be broken again? And the minute you say that, something like this happens, I just got to make sure Mateen's at the game, because I think that is kind of a record that points are one thing, rebounds are another thing, but assists means you're a giver. Means you're trying to get other people involved. And there's nothing like giving an assist, and there's nothing like guys that love him. I felt bad for Cassius, because I think we went about a month when we shot the ball so bad that he couldn't get any assists. It wasn't that his passing wasn't good, they weren't making shots. And that's the beauty of an assist. You got to make the pass and they got to make the shot, so you guys got to be on the same page. So I didn't think that was possible, and now it looks like it's going to happen, and I'm proud of him, and I'm just thrilled that I got to coach two guys that were involved in that kind of thing. It's a tribute to both the players, and I'm sure that it should be one of the goals for Cassius, and I'm sure nobody's a better cheerleader for him than Mateen, and that's when you have a good culture and a good program.
Tom, when you guys played Seton Hall early, Xavier struggled against their side, and he's played back-to-back opponents now where he's been really efficient against really big guys. I wonder what you've worked on him with and what he's worked on in the last couple months to allow that to happen.
A little bit better facing up, going with the ball, sometimes from the free throw line. Still struggle, especially early in that game, get into your shot. It was shuffle, dribble. Well, the 7-2 guy isn't going away if you don't move him. So we're trying to move bodies a little bit better, trying to isolate him a little bit better. And I think what he's done a better job of is he's getting more offensive rebounds, and those turn into putbacks. He's getting to the free throw line more. Got there 14 times the other day. When you do that, and he should be. He's back to missed 5 free throws the other day, and I think he understands the importance of it. He spent more time on it. That kid was, like I said, an 80%. I see that percentage going way up soon. If it does, the 13, 14 points turn into 15, 16 points, and we're a better team, and he's a better player. So I'd say, just being more aggressive, a little more confident in his three, knowing not hunt for threes. If they come to me, I can shoot them. I've seen that a little bit better by him. And Xavier's in a good place. Sometimes people, teams and programs, you kind of feel like you're in good vibes, good place. He's in a really good place right now because he's comfortable and confident what he's doing. Maybe that's why he's expanding his role on this team to now coach. Maybe he should take over the technicals. We could have a hell of a program here if he gets that going.
Tom, you talk about leaving footprints, and some guys break records in AM for a few years and somebody else gets them, but Cassius has a chance to take that assist record where no one could ever get it, the top 4 guys all time. How important is that, and what would that mean?
Well, I think it would mean the world to me, because I like coaching guys that do things that are in rare air. People, that's the name of the game. Can you put yourself in a position where most people are looking up at you instead of down at you? And so that's one thing I think would be good. And for him, the guy's been a giver since he got here. I said it his sophomore year of high school, one of the best passers I've ever seen. And that continued, and it continued to grow. And I didn't know the offensive side of him, meaning the scoring side, but I did know the passing side early. And that's why I think teammates, when I think of the assist guys that have been here that have been elite, Magic was elite, Mateen Cleaves was really elite, and even Denzel Valentine was up there in that elite. Now, the one common denominator, their teammates all followed them, their teammates all enjoyed them, their teammates all appreciated them. And why not? You want to hang with people that give to you, kind of thing. And so it would mean a lot to me. I think early on, that's what I was upset when he wasn't getting as many assists because I thought it was more our fault than his fault. And that's why sports and basketball, that's why it's not boxing or tennis, because you have to do your job and rely on somebody else doing their job if you're both going to be successful. And that's what the word team is all about. And our guys have gotten better, and he's embraced that. I think he appreciates that. They appreciate that. They know if when you go into a practice and say, hey, if somebody would run the damn lane, I know this guy's going to get you the ball. When I can say that in front of everybody, and then the next minute in practice he's doing it, it just such a comforting level. Everybody's probably played with selfish people in their life. It's a lot more fun to play with gracious people, and Cassius Winston, like Mateen, like Magic, those guys are at that level where giving is better than receiving.
On the other end of that, you talked about over the past wanting Cassius to be a little more selfish. Then he comes out, scores a career high, took 19 shots in that game, he's hitting them. For you to see him play like that, not just after everything he's gone through, but in the rivalry in his last year, what's that feeling like?
Well, he did take more shots than he's normally taken. Now, if you remember, he missed a layup and got put back, and he did that twice. So he got 4 shots instead of 2, because he's usually getting 14, 15 shots a game. But when you're in a zone and when you're playing more minutes than maybe he normally does, I think the 14, 15 that he's been getting has been great. The more aggressive that I'm talking about is not just in your shooting, but just aggressive with the ball. And I thought he did some things there that were really good. We're going to change up a few things too to get him the ball on the move, not just off the dribble a little bit more. And I think will really help him, because I think people are going to try to start defending him different ways. So we better be proactive in figuring out how we're going to keep him in the mix. But I know this, when you take 18 shots and your coach says, hey, you took that one shot, it was a bad shot, that's a good deal, because most shooters, you're saying 5 or 6 were question mark shots. So he doesn't take many bad ones. If guys are open, he gets them the ball. But if they're not open, or if it's time that he's got to take over, he's found a way to do that without being the athlete that most guys need to be to find a way to do it. And that speaks to, number one, I think our team and the screening is getting better, but number 2, his just intelligence and how he finds a way.
Time for 1 or 2 more.
Here's what you've seen so far out of Malik Hall, kind of how he's taken to a bench role, and what's his growth potential within that role this year with the other guys around him?
Well, I think, Malik, Thomas, Xavier, and Julius are all making big strides. Thomas played a little more last year. Marcus hardly played at all last year. And so they're almost freshmen too in a lot of ways. And I like Malik because I think he's the most versatile of all of them. Even though he, shot an air ball that almost killed one of you over there. It was, he hit 3 of them against Seton Hall. So, he can shoot the ball. Made a nice shot in the middle. He can guard the ball. I think like an Antonio Smith back in the day, or an Andre Hudson, he can guard 1 through 4, maybe even 1 through 5. So he has great versatility. He just needs to be a little more, I told him, he's got to learn how to smile, be a little more passionate. Working with freshmen is a treat, and they all mature at a different age, but he's a very smart kid, student-wise, and he's a intelligent kid basketball-wise. He's not using that all the time, if you ask me. So he's making progress. It would help them, even if I made it, 13 minutes, 13 minutes, 12 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever that ends up for the 4 of them, and tried to play that many people, at least if there was some consistency. So I don't think I'm helping them a lot, with the consistency part. We're trying to tell somebody who's going in when, but some of it is according to who we're playing. But at the same time, they got to help me a little bit too, and get as consistent as they can get in practice. And it's starting to, come together. I just keep looking at it and saying, we got a long, long way to go. And I mean that. We got a long way to go before we're going to be as smooth as I think we can be. Could be one of those years where, all of them play. I mean, we have had a couple teams that we played 10, 11 guys. And everybody knows their role. Everybody realizes some guys are going to get 5, 6 minutes. Just going to be the way it works. That's good. And this team is a pretty close-knit team. It's the word connected that we used last year is what we're trying for right now, so that, and you can't be connected if one arm doesn't know what the other is doing, and to do that, you got to play together a little bit more. So that's why practices are more important right now, and the schedule maybe works in our advantage a little bit. I don't like having 3 home games in a row because I know what that means on the other end. And I don't know what we're going to play 5 out of 7 at home early, and I don't like that because that means there's going to be 5 out of 7 away. But the way we play 2 games this week, and then we have 1 game within the next 8 days, will give us another chance to get some more practice time in, which I think will really help the freshmen.
Tom, one thing that jumped out to me the last couple games when I was going through all the videos, just how much fun it looked like your team was having on the court. A lot of smiles out there, and obviously winning, beating your rivals is going to be fun for any player. But you see them in practice. Are they starting to get more comfortable with themselves as a group and starting to enjoy the grind a little bit more?
That's a good phrase. More comfortable with themselves. You got to be comfortable with yourself before you can be comfortable with other people. Like, the team is close knit. They hang together. They do things together. I've had more than a few teams that are, but with all the young guys, I don't think they're comfortable in their own skin. So if they're not comfortable in their own skin, they're not as talkative. That's why this communication thing is a problem, and just so you know, I still think the social media laid part into hurting that, so I keep my commercials running. But I think that if we really could get those guys to feel as comfortable as I feel with them, with themselves. I think Gabe needs a little more comfort level. He's got a little more confidence in himself, so when he can press up on a guy with his wingspan and that, instead of giving a guy a 3 because his hands are down and he's thinking I might get beat, Confidence comes with competition. In competition, confidence comes with repetition. And so you need the reps, you need competition, and hopefully you get some in practice. I think that's really happening with Julius. Since we put him on a scout team, he's a better player because every day he's going against Xavier, and that makes him better. But you can't always do that. And I'll say again, my scout team did an unbelievable job again last week. So now we have a meeting this morning. The players came in at 7 o'clock or whatever time it was. And the scout team had to be there at 6:30 or 6:20, whatever that was. And that's always a grind and a pain in the butt. And now they're here because they realize they've had something to do with the wins. So I think I've got everybody engaged in what's happening, and yet winning helps. When you lose, you don't feel quite as good. So we'll see what happens when we take one on the chin.
Any other questions?
Right. Thanks. Appreciate it.